One night, one decision, a tragedy that left scars no time could heal. Tonight, we unravel the truth behind one of history's most haunting crimes. Background and dark path. Ethan Crumbley was born to Jennifer and James Crumbley on April 28, 2006, when the family resided in Atlantic Beach, Florida, where they were involved in business development and marketing. Before Ethan's birth, his parents had faced legal issues, including charges related to DUI and check fraud between 1995 and 2005. When Ethan was still young, the family relocated to Issaquah, Washington, and by 2014, they had moved once more and established themselves in Oxford Township, Michigan. A neighbor reported observing Ethan's parents leaving him alone for extended periods without a phone, expressing concern and even contacting Child Protective Services, CPS, at one point, though the follow-up is uncertain. Ethan's diary entries reveal his deteriorating mental state over the years, with 2021 being particularly difficult due to the passing of the family dog and the departure of a close friend from school in October. Ethan began confiding in his mother about the auditory hallucinations he was experiencing. Evidence from as far back as March 2021 showed that 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley would text his mother when home alone to tell her he thought there was a demon, a ghost, or someone else inside the home. Similar texts were sent multiple times, and sometimes it would take Jennifer Crumbley hours to reply. A video found on the teen's phone from May 2021 showed him torturing animals at the Crumbley home. He kept the severed head of a bird that he had tortured and mutilated in a jar in his room for 6 months. The murders and arrest. In his diaries, Ethan began expressing a desire to carry out a school shooting, driven by a sense of being unable to control his thoughts and a belief that the only way he could leave a lasting impression was through such an act. He even wrote about warning some friends to skip school on the day of the planned shooting. 4 days before the incident, he accompanied his father to buy guns, which he later posted about on social media, with his mother referring to them as Christmas presents for Ethan. The day before the shooting, a teacher observed Ethan searching for ammunition online and reported him. When questioned by school authorities, Ethan claimed he had visited a shooting range with his mother out of curiosity. Despite attempts to contact his mother, she did not respond promptly and instead sent Ethan a text message, reassuring him that he was not in trouble but advising him to be more discreet. On the day of the shooting, another teacher discovered a disturbing drawing made by Ethan depicting guns, corpses, and blood, along with explicit references to his intentions to carry out a shooting. Concerned, the school called for a meeting with the parents, urging them to seek therapy for Ethan. However, the parents reportedly appeared hesitant. Unbeknownst to anyone, Ethan had already formulated plans for the day. Concealing a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and 3 15-round magazines within the school premises, he executed his plans. The firearm he wielded was the same one his father had purchased with him just 4 days prior. Emerging from a school restroom shortly after a meeting with his parents, he started firing in the hallway as hundreds of students passed through, transitioning from one class to another. When the students began fleeing, he methodically and deliberately walked down the hallway and shot into classrooms and at anyone unable to escape until he moved on toward another classroom. Due to the quick response by students and staff, Crumbley was unable to actually enter any of the classrooms. According to students, a voice over the intercom alerted them to an active shooter, and their teachers started locking and barricading doors and covering windows, convincing them it was not a drill. Others recounted hearing loud, banging sounds before they realized the noises were gunshots and quickly locked the door. One student who hid in a toilet stall recalled hearing a gun being cocked outside the bathroom. Once the school had been secured, he opened the bathroom door to find several bodies lying on the floor. 3 students, Madison Baldwin, 17, Tate Meyer, 16, and Hannah St. Juliana, 14, were killed at the scene, and 8 other people, including a teacher, were injured. Meyer was reportedly shot while attempting to stop the gunman. He died in a police vehicle en route to the hospital. On December 1st, a 4th student, 17-year-old Justin Schilling, died in the hospital from his injuries. By the night of November 30th, 3 of the injured were in critical condition, with 1 on a ventilator. Another was in serious condition, 3 were in stable condition, and the injured teacher was discharged after being treated for a graze wound to the shoulder. The last of the injured was discharged on January 17th, 2022, more than a month after the shooting. Calls to the police began flooding in around 12:50 p.m., prompting the immediate arrest of Ethan Crumbley. Within 2 or 3 minutes of first responders' arrival on the scene, Crumbley was arrested, unharmed, by a deputy assigned as a school resource officer and a second deputy. Following his apprehension, a search warrant was executed at his residence, uncovering videos and diary entries that provided insight into his state of mind and alleged parental influence. Stuff found was a Nazi coin he bought on Amazon in plain view in his bedroom, and a notebook that appeared to be shared by all members of the family had Nazi symbols in it. Another notebook that was not hidden had photos of guns on every page. Molotov cocktails at the family home. He was swiftly arraigned on charges of homicide and attempted homicide. However, on December 1st, 2021, he was charged as an adult with terrorism causing death, first-degree murder, assault with intent to murder, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and several other offenses. Investigation. The school was processed by investigators, with video footage from security cameras within the building as their primary focus. The cell phone contained 2 videos of Crumbley, both filmed the night before the incident, in which he purportedly talked about his plans to shoot and kill students at the school the following day. Hopefully, my shooting will cause Biden to get impeached. Following public scrutiny of the school's handling of reports about Crumbley's behavior, the superintendent of Oxford Community Schools, the school district that includes Oxford High School, announced that a third-party investigation of the incident would be conducted. He also said he would recommend a review of the district's entire system to school board members. On December 6th, prosecutor Karen McDonald said Oxford High School officials had legal grounds to search Crumbley's backpack and locker when concerns were raised about his behavior on the day of the shooting, but they never did so for reasons that were not made clear. She also said that charges against school officials were not being ruled out. Legal battle. On December 1st, 2021, he was charged with terrorism causing death, first-degree murder, assault with intent to murder, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, with the possibility of more charges being added as the investigation continued. According to the Associated Press, this appeared to be the first time in U.S. history that a terrorism charge was filed about a gunfire incident on school grounds. The terrorism charge is provided under Michigan law, for an act that is intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. In this case, the Oxford High School community. Crumbley was charged as an adult, and the judge, Nancy T. Karniak, entered a plea of not guilty on his behalf. He was ordered to be held without bond and relocated to the Oakland County Jail, and Karniak scheduled a probable cause conference for December 13th and a preliminary examination for December 20th. Crumbley was appointed an attorney by the court after his parents hired lawyers for themselves, but did not do so for their son. At Crumbley's probable cause conference on December 13th, Karniak postponed the upcoming preliminary examination to January 7th, 2022, to allow prosecutors to review evidence. On January 12th, 2022, a plea of not guilty was entered on Crumbley's behalf during his arraignment. On January 26, 2022, Crumbley announced he would plead insanity via a court filing made by his lawyers. He also requested an evaluation of his criminal responsibility, which is standard procedure. Crumbley was to be evaluated by a doctor from the Center for Forensic Psychiatry. On October 24, 2022, Crumbley pleaded guilty to all of the charges and withdrew his intent to pursue an insanity defense. He also admitted during questioning on that day that his own money was used to purchase the weapon and claimed that the gun was not locked away on the day of the shooting. On September 29, 2023, Judge Kwame Rowe ruled that Crumbley was eligible for a sentence of life without parole. In his ruling, Rowe said that while Crumbley's youth and difficulties at home were mitigating factors, they did not outweigh the seriousness of his crime. Rowe also pointed out that Crumbley's obsession with violence had persisted during his time in jail, citing an incident wherein Crumbley accessed violent material online using a hacked tablet. On December 9, 2023, it was announced that Crumbley had been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Right before the sentencing, Crumbley apologized to the courtroom and stated that, "Any sentence that the victims ask for, I ask that you do impose it on me," and that he was truly sorry. After turning 18 on April 28, 2024, Crumbley was moved to Oaks Correctional Facility in Manistee, Michigan. On June 7, 2024, appellate attorneys for Ethan Crumbley filed a motion asking to withdraw the guilty plea and request a new sentencing based on ineffective assistance of counsel. His attorneys claimed that his mother used alcohol during pregnancy, which was not raised by his previous defense attorneys. The prenatal alcohol exposure could have caused Crumbley to suffer from cognitive adaptive dysfunctions due to fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and Judge Kwame Rowe did not ensure that Crumbley understood the consequences of entering a guilty plea in light of his cognitive impairments and history of mental illness. On December 19th, Rowe rejected both requests, writing that the plea was knowingly, voluntarily, and accurately given, and there was no defect in the plea-taking process. The case of Crumbley parents. After announcing the charges against Ethan Crumbley, prosecutor Karen McDonald told reporters that her office was also considering criminal charges against Crumbley's parents, Jennifer and James, in connection with the shooting. She said responsible gun ownership was crucial to stop tragedies, and those who are irresponsible with their firearms should be held accountable. On December 3rd, McDonald held a press conference in which she announced that both parents were being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for their failure to secure the gun Crumbley used in the shooting. It is a rare instance of parents being charged about a school shooting. James and Jennifer Crumbley were the first U.S. parents to be charged with having responsibility for a mass school shooting by a child. After charges were announced against Crumbley's parents, Jennifer and James, an alert was issued hours later by state authorities, as the Crumbleys had left the Oxford Township area and not returned as expected to meet with their attorneys and turn themselves in. Shortly after, the Crumbleys' attorneys told the Detroit Free Press that their clients did not flee but rather left town for their own safety and would return to be arraigned. However, both parents missed their 4 p.m. arraignment and remained at large. Under Sheriff McCabe told CNN that the attorneys had not talked with the parents after attempting to reach them by phone and text without success. CNN reported that Jennifer and James had withdrawn $4,000 from an ATM in Rochester Hills on December 3rd and that they had turned off their cell phones. Late on December 3rd, the U.S. Marshals released wanted posters for Jennifer and James and also announced rewards of up to $10,000 for information leading to their arrests. At around 11:05 p.m. on December 3rd, police received a tip from a business owner who found the Crumbleys' vehicle in his parking lot in Detroit, about 40 miles from Oxford. The man also said he saw Jennifer Crumbley, who fled upon being spotted. Police responded to the scene about 20 minutes later and established a perimeter in the area. At around 2 a.m. on December 4th, police took the couple into custody after finding them in a first-floor room at a nearby commercial building. The person believed to have assisted the Crumbleys identified himself through his attorney as an Oakland County resident who operated a business inside the building. He claimed to not have been aware that the couple was wanted by authorities at the time he allowed them to stay in his workspace. However, he declined to elaborate on the nature of his association with them. Jennifer and James Crumbley were arraigned on December 4th, where they pleaded not guilty to the charges, and a bail of $500,000 each was set for them. Federal prosecutors began investigating whether federal laws were violated when James Crumbley purchased a handgun for his son. The Crumbleys were held at Oakland County Jail, where their son was also being confined. As a result, all 3 were put in isolation, monitored under suicide watch, and not allowed to interact for an indefinite amount of time. In early 2024, the judge in their cases ruled that Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley would be granted separate trials, the first of which was scheduled to begin January 23, 2024. The Crumbleys were held in jail for over 2 years, awaiting trial. Jennifer Crumbley's trial concluded on February 6, 2024, and James's on March 14th. Juries found the Crumbleys guilty on all 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. On April 9, 2024, they were given the maximum sentence of 15 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 10 years. Jennifer was imprisoned in the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility and James in the Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility. On December 2, 2024, Jennifer Crumbley's new appellate attorneys filed a motion asking to dismiss her original conviction or order a new trial on multiple grounds, especially since a confidential proffer agreement between prosecutors and several school officials was not revealed by prosecutors as part of Brady's disclosure. Crumbley's attorney also alleged inconsistent culpability theories by charging her son Ethan as an adult, while also claiming that she had a responsibility to control her minor child, had no duty to protect the victims of the shooting. The jury instructions were flawed, and that she had ineffective assistance of counsel. Legal troubles for the school. On December 9, 2021, multiple survivors of the shooting filed $200 million lawsuits against Oxford Community Schools and its employees. On December 10th, a lawyer representing 2 of the survivors requested a judge to order school officials to restore and preserve social media pages and other evidence that she claimed was willfully destroyed by the district following the shooting. The judge granted the request. Oxford Community Schools filed a motion to dismiss the original $100 million lawsuit on December 14th, claiming that the survivor's attorney filed it without conducting due diligence required by the rules of professional responsibility and that it was done to be on the news. January 8th, 2022, survivors of the shooting filed an updated $100 million lawsuit that added 11 new counts against the named school officials. The updated lawsuit included the principal and other administrators, accusing them of gross negligence and alleging that their actions caused serious and permanent physical and emotional trauma. On January 24, 2022, the district asked a federal judge to suspend the lawsuit until the criminal trials of Crumbley and his parents were concluded, saying the lawsuit could interfere with the prosecution of Crumbley. On March 6, 2023, a state judge dismissed the lawsuits against Oxford Community Schools and the staff at the school due to both having immunity from being sued, deeming that Crumbley was the direct cause of the shooting and not the school.
Under penalty of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make will be the truth?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Sir, on that date, November the 30th, 2021, in Oakland County, Michigan, did you bring a 9mm 6-hour handgun and 50 rounds of 9mm ammunition with you to the Oxford High School?
Yes, sir.
Did you keep the gun and ammunition in your backpack with you that day?
Yes.
While inside the boys' bathroom, in the stall of the bathroom, you removed the handgun from your backpack?
Yes.
Is it true that you ensured that the handgun was loaded?
Yes.
Is it true that you exited the bathroom approximately 12:51 p.m. on November the 30th, 2021?
Yes.
Is it true that when you exited the bathroom, you began shooting at students and staff members of the Oxford High School?
Yes. I am a really bad person. I have done terrible things that no one should ever do.
Sentence of the court is that defendant shall serve life without the possibility of parole.
Our family has a permanent hole in it that can never be fixed. Love is obviously absent from our family because there's no joy. When you have joy, it's easy to love.
Waste that took my daughter's life. That name will never come out of my mouth. That life will cease to exist to me, and just like trash, it will be forgotten.
I reached my hand over my head, and I realized it was Hannah. I could hear her groaning beside me. Realizing that I wasn't alone, I kept trying to reassure her. Someone will come help us. Don't worry. Just keep breathing. Just please stay with me. 15 minutes of lying in a pool of my own blood. 15 minutes of hearing Hannah St. Juliana's last sounds while stroking her hair and trying to encourage her.
I do not diminish any ability to anyone who could have stopped me, of anyone of a school or parents. They did not know, and I did not tell them what I planned to do.
Public reaction. President Joe Biden and U.S. Representative Alyssa Slotkin, whose district includes Oxford High School, expressed their condolences over the shooting. Governor Gretchen Whitmer said in a statement that she was devastated for the students, staff, and families of the school, calling gun violence a public health crisis. Whitmer also ordered all flags in Michigan to fly at half-staff. Families of victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting expressed their solidarity with the families of the Oxford shooting. In addition, survivors and families of victims in the Parkland High School shooting expressed outrage over the Oxford shooting and expressed their desire to continue fighting for change. All 4 professional Detroit sports teams, Lions, Pistons, Tigers, and Red Wings, expressed their condolences to the community. The aftermath. Many students were traumatized by the school shootings and death that followed. By January 2022, more than $3.2 million in resources had been approved by the Oakland County Board of Commissioners in response to the shooting since November 30th. In December 2021, the district superintendent announced that when classes resumed after the holiday break, all middle and high school students would be required to wear clear backpacks, while all elementary school students would be required to keep their backpacks in lockers or cubbies all day. However, Oxford High School remained closed, and students had been attending classes at other buildings until January 24, 2022. 3 prayer services were held on the night of November 30th, attended by hundreds. A memorial was created outside the school with stuffed animals and flowers left behind. A candlelight vigil was held at Michigan State University on December 7th to honor the victims of the shooting. Copycat threats against numerous Metro Detroit schools were made the following day on December 1st, leading many other area districts to cancel classes for at least one day. According to Sheriff Bouchard, at least 60 schools were affected by the closures. By December 3rd, at least 519 schools in 70 different districts in Michigan and 6 other states had closed their schools down in the wake of additional threats. In July 2024, it was reported that Thomas Matthew Crooks, the attempted assassin of Donald Trump, researched Ethan Crumbley and his family before his attack where he shot Trump in his right ear. As we close this chapter, let us not forget the lessons hidden within the echoes of tragedy. The chilling events at Oxford High remind us that the shadows of neglect can have lasting, haunting consequences. In remembering those lost and the silence that preceded the storm, we find a call to be more vigilant, more compassionate, so history never repeats itself. I want to hear from you. What warning signs do you think we're missing today? And how might we prevent tomorrow's tragedies? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's open up this crucial conversation. If you found this deep dive thought-provoking, please like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our future explorations into history's unspeakable truths. Thank you for watching, and let's strive to learn from the past together.